the game at a similar time. And it's unpredictable. And that's what is really useful, the unpredictability. See you later, Cooler. We're going to jump straight into this match. Alliance versus Seqta. Right, so the Nyx once again showing through. Not too surprised to see that whatsoever. Soul will be spawning very soon. Very early on, catches frag, but that dual-wield super shotgun, ever so dangerous when you're playing as Blazkowicz. Oh, the snatch away! Cass, sneaky business. Manages to run towards Optum, actually choosing to go for Obelisk B. This time, right, have actually decided that Obelisk B is the one they choose. Very rare. This is the first time today we've seen Obelisk B straight up, like, chosen to go for when they have the choice between A and B. They've actually gone for B first. Sparty getting chased quite heavily, but wow! Just flung miles away. Stroke gets taken out right there. Very clean. It's almost like a ring out in some cases, just knocking him out. Of course, knocked him off that map, get that guaranteed kill, and once again Alliance. And now stably trying to hold on this Obelisk. I'm sure that's actually called a ring out as well. That's the medal you get, I'm fairly certain. Is that Blazkowicz over there? Must be. Is that Cooler? Have a look. Being very careful with how they advance right here. But obviously, how can we forget Neutrino as well? Obviously, Neutrino, a highly talented dueler himself. Oh, missing a few rails though, and Syndrome's going to make him pay for that one. As you can see, Alliance, now they're controlling Obelisk A. I mean, just really that choke point, that bottleneck near the rail. Did a good job of commanding that one, but just look, the lead is steadily increasing. We're yet to see a giant push onto this Obelisk so far. It's been almost trickling in one at a time. So it looks like, whereas some teams are quite confident sitting inside the Obelisk room and defend in there, it looks like Alliance would much rather sort of sit just outside. Oh, but here's the dual wheel rockets coming through. Cooler's got a lot of damage potential, but he gets taken out by Bus Driver. And bear in mind, Bus Driver takes a second frag as well, 3 seconds away. During that frag, actually, it's important that now they've respawned, and that double rail strikes finishing the job, and that will secure Alliance a little bit of quad, but he gets taken out as well. But the quad goes down to strength, so Alliance is still able to hold on to this power-up. Ghost War comes through. Oh, that's dead. That's... Oh, the reactions! Wow. Nice timing. Oh, and the Soul go through. Seqta managed to sneak it out, I think. Cass's timing on that, like Ghost Walk, was unbelievably well placed. Cooler tries to establish distance, but just look at how many people put that quad damage lightning gun. That might do the job to get it back. Oh, wow. Pull like a clay pigeon, shooting him out of the air. Soul has been picked up again. Cass running it now back towards their Obelisk B, the one they chose to go for at the start. And now I think the slow grind to get the percentage back onto Obelisk B begins. I mean, there was quite a big difference in score though, 61 to 14. I think that's 16 at this stage. However, there's a Nyx up behind. Yeah, they're ready for it. I think they could hear it. However, here comes the three-man attack. Syndrome takes down Cass, and now they're pushing this Obelisk. They've taken the Soul back. Can they get it? It's their own Obelisk. Cooler gets fragged as well. This stage, Anarchy just making such a marathon from one side to the other, but he gets around so quick. However, 2 members of Seqta ready to head him off. 3 members, in fact. Oh, got the gauntlet out, but walks face first into a rail. That's going to do it. Pops the injection, and there we go. There's another visor coming through. Both teams having access to a visor now, it seems. Ooh, strength's getting like ever so slightly a little bit boosted, but they have dropped it back off. Even though you can be 1 hit from death, as long as you've got a rail and a relative amount of distance, you are still going to be dangerous. Oh, Nyx trying to get the gauntlet kill right there, but doesn't quite work out. So actually, Nyx passing off the Soul to Ranger this time. Felt along the way, trying to get through, but Syndrome with that super shotgun stopping him. Syndrome just swoops in, steals it away, gets himself a mega health. What pathing? Yeah, really smart. Oh, unfortunately doesn't, kind of bumps into a wall, so he loses his speed, and again actually fumbles the rocket jump as well. Right, protection is the power up. However, Soul getting dropped off, that's going to be minimum 3% before they get back. However, Alliance is actually the team that got their hands on the protection to begin with. Probably going to do a good job of actually further increasing that percentage lead. It looks like a lot of teams today are favouring giving the protection over to Nyx particularly. I think it's really working out well for them though, because she's hard enough to kill as it is, but as soon as you get her low with protection, Ghost Walk comes through. And again, Alliance really doing a good job of just commanding at the moment in this first round, 85% and climbing. Protections just ran out, but what a lead they've already managed to establish. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just look at the percentage, 90% versus 22%, and Neutrino taken down. Gonna get LG'd from behind. He has got the Ghost Walk available, so he's gonna be able to escape that situation. Cooler trying to predict where he's gonna go, but just unfortunately goes the wrong way. Sugar gets taken out as well, and just look at these frags rack up. Most of them are going in the favor of Alliance, who only need a couple of percentage, not even that. The Obelisk is taken, and that's gonna be round number 1 for Alliance, looking really strong, I have to say. Looked comfortable too, like supremely comfortable, but right now, I mean, just a very aggressive match so far. Neither team really has access to someone with a massive amount of health, so the mobility is a lot greater, and a lot of the time some of the damage is insane, like obviously both teams having access to a visor, so there's no real sort of sneaking around, you're going to know where you are, and obviously the Blaskovitz coming through with a lot of damage from Cooler. I find it quite interesting how the heavily sort of preferred Obelisk on this map seems to be A. However, Seqta opted to go for B last time. A really good timing on the invisibility to try and secure it. Tries again. Cass actually did do that in the first round as well. A little bit more results then though. Cooler gets taken out by Strengths, who's going to continue that rampage. Sparty with plenty of health to soak up while he delivers the soul back onto Obelisk A. And again, they have the Obelisk that they want. And even in round number 1, I feel like Seqta gave Alliance the Obelisk that they wanted again in that round. Of course, I mean, for good reason, you know, if Seqta had like a certain level of comfort, they'd rather have the other one. They can take it, that's all good, but unfortunately, he found himself with Alliance having it for the most part. He's just trying to get himself to B, but just like see Alliance already all here to stop him from doing it. Yeah, and Neutrino's really trying to make this push. He has got a couple of his guys with him, but just look, lying in wait is Alliance, who does manage to take him out, and he's keeping the defense going. But again, Syndrome does manage to take that soul, and with that Anarchy Rampage, he's going to go super quick. However, yeah, that's it. The second he got attacked by that rail, he absolutely needed to pop it. Bear in mind, actually, if he got hit by a rail after the injection, he still would have died. Wow, Syndrome turns around. No fear whatsoever, gets back to his Obelisk safely, and instantly turns around with that super shotgun. Trying to read where Nyx goes. Obviously, when she goes into that ghost mode, you really can't hear when she's going to come out. However, can he get another shot? He does. Sparty finishes the job with the rail. And again, that 22% lead is only going to build up. Anarchy and the super shotgun seems like a lethal combination, especially if you've got that speed on. Oh, was that on purpose? I have no idea. I think we'll just swiftly move on. Power-up's going to spawn in 15 seconds. Maybe it was to actually have more health for the power-up. Who knows? Not quite sure, but regardless, Seqta are going to be here seemingly to control this bridge, even though they don't have the Obelisk. They are kind of just trying to prioritize this power-up, and it goes through. Wow, and Strength sneakily gets in there with the Ghost Walk and the quad damage. It can always be like risky using the Ghost Walk to try and secure that power-up, because if you Ghost Walk into the power-up, you then have nothing to escape with. On the flip side, Strength did such a good job of actually surviving that, and now look, he has that ranged advantage. No damage from a machine gun will outdo the damage he will output with that quad damage, and now he's got heavy armor, but Shug with that LG does clean up, and now he himself has a quad damage for at least a little bit of time. Oh no, but not if he uses that jump pad, and they're waiting with railguns to hit him on the way down. Neutrino's going to take him out. They're here trying to desperately get this back. Managed to steal the soul. Neutrino has it, but you know, he's just getting taken down and chased out. Yeah, nice pass on the Shug though, who's now, bear in mind, he's not going to have the piercing sight, so he's not going to know where people are coming just yet, at least for 37 seconds, but he has dropped it off. But Seqta have a lot of work to do if they want to build this back up, especially with the push coming through. Can he take anyone out? Doesn't even need to. You just realize Strengths was left to fight, and the rest of his team just went off and took the soul away. Seqta sort of running it back now. They're sort of controlling that bridge again, but the power-up's not going to be up for another minute or so. They're just trying to stop him from running through. Nice rocket jump. They're trying to get him on the way, but he's going to safely get this in most likely. Yes, even though he died. Yeah, the important thing was he put it down on the Obelisk. He's going to take that all day, and Syndrome now just holding off that rocket defense. Bear in mind, actually, the Mega Health and the Heavy Armor are both up, but it's definitely not going to be the main objective currently. No, for sure. And Neutrino gets caught by that Ghost Walk again. Super shotgun coming out, a massive amount of damage coming through for Strengths. Cooler's going to take him down though, but Alliance looking really comfortable in round 2 as well. Just look at that, an 80% to 5 lead. Burial Chamber by far looks like a very good map for Alliance. I mean, both times that they've managed to get their Obelisk A, it's been a good Obelisk for them to hold on to, and the proof's in the pudding, right? 10 seconds away from the power-up. Now, if Alliance get this power-up, I'm almost ready to call this round. He's getting it on the way though. Oh, nice timing, but unfortunately, the entire of Seqta lying in wait. That was fantastic timing, but it didn't quite work out. Now Cooler with that Blaskovitz, with that dual wield, and he's got quad damage. This is a dangerous man right now. Of course, the Bishop is on his way, making the warpath back to B. Syndrome tries to stop him, but no chance. Here we go. He's going to defend a little bit with that quad, but no doubt, I think Alliance are just going to sort of wait it out, to be honest. Tagged him with a rail. He can probably take one more. Maybe not actually, only 2 armor left. The surprise attack goes in for the dual wheel, but a little bit too late. Cannot get substantial damage. And Syndrome running in, just snatching away the soul
Unfortunately, it's
again.
actually going to be quite a while. There's quite a hefty cooldown, that Blazkowicz ability. He did use it before. Cooler, though, ready to get him out of the air again. Saving his team, though. Trino now, the soul. Yeah, it looks like Alliance have control of it again. Sparty.
Try to go around the backside, make sure no one catches him. I think he knows the Seqta, that they really are waiting by that main entrance, but just look at how much Alliance are just picking them off one by one, and the entry is so free for him now. All they have to do is get past this one champion, it's going to be it.
That's probably going to be that. 98%, 99. Here trying to stop him desperately. Sugar's trying to stop him, but I don't know if he's got enough, and that is most likely going to be the first round. There we go. It is. The game is done. 1-0. The map goes to Alliance.
Really well played. Like, I mean, unbelievably well played. I think it was a little bit, I almost feel like with how well Alliance were able to hold Obelisk A, I kind of feel like giving Alliance A in the first round might have been a little bit of a mistake because, I mean, they held it for a little bit of time and it looked kind of good for them, but the second Alliance took it, they went straight to A and they basically held it for the entire round.
So normally we see teams sort of like break that defensive wall by getting hold of protection or, you know, sending someone in with like loads of health and stuff like that. Do you think almost like the lack of a beefy champion is almost going to make that sort of reacquisition of the soul a little bit more difficult, or do you think that it just comes down to how they're playing?
I mean, the power-up on specific champions...
As in the side of Alliance, because Seqta weren't playing bad. It was just Alliance playing very well.
I think champions may be a part of that to a degree, because, I mean, we've seen how much of a game-changer large, tanky champions can be when they get their hands on something like even Quad, because you can take loads more damage than everyone else. So even though you're becoming focused down by everyone else, you know, you will sort of almost frag as much as you're taking damage. But if you're a giant champion that's getting the protection, I mean, how many times have we seen in this broadcast so far where a champion with lots of health, be it a fast champion who is heavily stacked or just a default health Sorlag or Scale Bearer, have the protection, take the soul, and they just walk out of the base because they cannot be contested. But it just seemed like there wasn't much push on the side of Seqta in this one map in particular. But bear in mind, again, Burial Chamber in this round of 16 is a predetermined map, so it might be a map they just may not be as happy with. They may not like the map as much as other maps. And this time, we're going to see what they have in mind, because once again, Seqta now are going to have the choice of what map they want to play on.
Well, we've been seeing Burial Chamber into Lockbox, I think twice now, particularly. But whether that'll be the same thing a third time, I'm not too sure. Lockbox seems to be a bit up and down for some teams today. Like we said, I don't think as many of them have had as much experience with Lockbox as they might have had some of the other ones, like, you know, Ruins or Blood Covenant. So, I don't know, I think it just comes down to what they feel more comfortable on. I know that sounds like obvious because that tends to be the case, right? They'll if they lose, they'll then just go with whatever map they think they are the best on, you know, and it makes sense.
I'm quite surprised that we've seen Lockbox as much as we've seen it. Speak of the devil, we're on Lockbox again.
Indeed, we are.
This is literally the complete opposite of what we expected.
So wait, this time it looks like Bus Driver has opted to go for Sorlag instead of Visor. Sorlag on Lockbox particularly seems to be very,
I agree.
Very big.
I definitely think so. Like, I mean, it's just there's so much sort of small close quarters space. Like when the soul spawns at each obelisk, even the pathing in between where the quad spawns. Like Sorlag, it's open season for how many areas of the map Sorlag can just spew the acid out. And, you know, it's really important. But also at the same time, she is very tanky. She can navigate really well. We've seen some crazy runs with Sorlag throughout this tournament where it's rocket jump off the wall, get your speed on deck, make yourself hard to hit. And the second Sorlag gets something like protection on this map, she becomes almost impossible to kill, unless she's on low health already.
But I want to see how Seqta, if they change their roster at all, because I mean, clearly
we only really had the chance to see the Alliance just then, didn't we? So we'll see who they picked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, clearly Seqta were playing well. I mean, it was working out for them. You know, it wasn't like they had bad champions or anything. I think it just came down to Alliance just. I mean, maybe it was just the obelisk. You know, I mean, we said before, Alliance seemed very, very comfortable in the obelisk they were left with both sides.
Some of these players that are on the side of Alliance, like, you know, Sparty, for example, like he has made, you know, he has made multiple sort of top 8s and, like, you know, even higher placings at Quake tournaments in multiple game modes. You know, some of the guys on this team are experienced in Quake, but not just duel. They have real, you know, real placings in modes that are 4v4, 2v2.
Who knows? This time in a few months, maybe you'll be able to add whatever place it is at Quake World Championships sacrifice to that resume?
I mean, that's the big one, isn't it? How the two biggest modes by far that are being pushed here on a competitive sense is duel and sacrifice. It is right there, and it is a mode that clearly all of these players have been grinding just as much as duel. I almost, in some ways, thought maybe we would see some players not opt to practice sacrifice because they might just want to focus on duel. You know, I mean, sometimes that could happen with a player that goes, right, I'm going to grind this one game mode because that's where I want to put all my focus, and I don't want to get like distracted. You know, not really the word, but you know what I'm talking about. But I think
you want to be able to just concentrate on one mode and get as good at that.
I don't really think we're seeing that too much, to be honest. We're seeing so many players try sacrifice, but do really well in it.
At the end of the day, it's still Quake. Oh yeah, these guys, they're still playing Quake. They're still having to get frags. It's still about, you know, aiming better than the other guy. It's still FPS at the end of the day. And like you said, some of these guys have so many years of experience with team modes in Quake specifically that I'm sure it's no problem for them to learn these multiple game modes at the time. You know, that being said, week 1 for duel, we had over 700 signups.
That I still think that was unbelievable.
It was insane. And we had some of the absolute best gameplay we've seen in Quake Champions so far as well, but just because of that.
What's been really good actually about the fact that we had over 700 signups, which I think is great for the players that have made that top 16, is just because there's like 700 people, these top dogs among EU are showing us that they are still top dogs as well. I mean, we'll obviously talk about this more tomorrow when we have our Sunday playoffs, but I just think it's a great story to show that these guys, you know, they are the top dogs for a reason, and no matter how much competition is on the line, it really isn't holding them back. They're still sort of showing their dominance. But it's not just a matter of showing dominance in duel, is it? We're here for sacrifice, and a lot of these players are here to play sacrifice and are doing it really well.
So we should be loading up into the map very, very soon. So we know that Lockbox is going to be our second map of this series.
Lockbox
once again. Of course, after the first map of Burial Chamber going in the way of Alliance very, very convincingly. The question is, can Seqta, I mean, this would have been Seqta's pick, this map. So the question is, can they make it work? Because we've already seen this pick not work out for the team that selected it already. So it doesn't seem to definitely be okay, we picked the map, so we're going to win this one.
We've seen it not work, but we have also seen it work. Sandals,
indeed.
Where, you know, Sandals lost that first game, and they went, Lockbox was the map that they picked as well. And that was like a great turnaround for them. And it was like a superb showing. And it was when the map got picked onto a different one. I think it was the Blood Covenant situation, which is when they really struggled to get that momentum back. But Lockbox, it's like you know, it's either a win or a lose situation so far. I really genuinely did not expect to see so many teams pick it. But
that's probably, out of everything today, like be it certain teams or champions they pick or map choice or just generally like how they play, the one thing that has surprised me the most is just how much we've seen this map. I did not expect to see it much at all. And you know, to be fair, we were told not to expect much of it either. You know, a lot of teams were like, you know, we were told
by basically everybody.
Yeah, we were told by basically everyone that, you know, not a lot of teams are. Obviously, teams have been practicing on it, but not a lot of teams are comfortable on it. And we're seeing the exact opposite. Some of these guys look like, you know, they really like playing on this map.
It's fast. I mean, Lockbox in particular, this map it goes at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
It's full of green goop.
Indeed, but it's just there are so many situations where you can get caught off guard, these little corridors, not a huge amount of big open space, but I think that is also one of the reasons we see the really tanky champions like Sorlag and Scalebearer. They come out to play on Lockbox because there's not a lot of room to get away from them, and that's a big deal, is that there's not a lot of room to escape these big bodies that will just get in there and, you know, frags for days.
So we know Sorlag is 100% going to be in this then, because we've seen a bus driver go from Visor to Lockbox. So you're almost like swapping out one utility for another. So Sorlag has that area denial, massive speed for a big body character, lots of health, and also immunity to acid on a stage with acid all over the place. And then Visor, who we've already seen be a game-changing champion today by himself.
Visor has been very important. Like, clearly Visor's been important. But I just think it might just be a matter of, well, we look at the utility that the champions bring, and I feel like I just want this tool set over the other one. And that's just as simple as that.
Well, fingers crossed that it really turns out to work out for them, because they had a really good game last time, and I do think Visor was a part of that, so I have to see if it makes the same impact on Sorlag as it did before.
Oh yeah, for sure. But bear in mind, it's just a matter of today's tournaments, guys. Just to remind anyone that may be new or has just tuned in. Essentially, these guys are qualifying for a playoff that's taking place tomorrow. We are currently in our round of 16, which means whoever wins this map, well, not whoever wins this map, if Alliance win this map and they take the set 2-0, they will move on to a playoff tomorrow. So playoff tomorrow is for duel and sacrifice, and whoever wins tomorrow across both those game modes will make it to the EU regionals, which is getting played at a later date. And that's where it really starts to matter, because the regionals will decide whether you make QuakeCon for the Quake World Championship finals or you don't. And it's a matter of, you know, when it comes to sacrifice, this is one of 2 weeks. If you don't make it this week, you've only got 1 more week. And if you don't make it in week 2, that's it. Over. That's what I mean, though. A few days ago, those of you that may have watched the Duel Cup was, you know, we spent the whole time saying, you know, if it's all single elimination, if you lose this week, don't worry, you've got 3 more chances, 3 more weeks. For sacrifice, you've got next week, and that is it. You know, you basically have 2 tournaments worth of chances to qualify through. So it's a very different sort of approach, I suppose. You know, you have a lot less safety, but at the same time, you're less dependent on just yourself alone, because it's a team game, right? 4 versus 4, so you have 3 other friends to depend on. It's unbelievable how different a game can be when it's 1 versus 1 and then it's 4 versus 4. Like, it can completely transform the success, because someone just might be naturally better playing with a team, or they might be better playing solo. And I just guess that's the way it is. You know, at a point, it's not even, doesn't matter what the genre is. But either way, I think, you know, it's going to be going into the matches that we have left. I'd like to see Seqta pull this one through. I'd like to see it become quite close, because there's a lot of talent on the line. These guys, I believe, have actually picked their draft, so we're going to go into a quick warm-up, and then we're going to be good to go. So thank you very much for your patience, guys. But, I mean, there's so much talent on either team. It would be a shame to see it go 2-0. I'd love to see a final game. I mean, we've already had so many good sets today, as is. I'd hate to see this one go down so fast. We've seen loads of good sets. Like, I've been really happy with the gameplay we've seen so far. Yeah, for sure. Lots of champions. I mean, quite a few maps picked, to be fair, but we have, across the board, seen all the maps. But just Lockbox is the one for the day, I think. But right now, though, it does seem to be that Seqta just have to stop this sort of snowball momentum that Alliance have got going for them right now. Because it wasn't like Seqta weren't able to ever get hold of the soul. It was just whenever they got it, they just couldn't hold on to it. You know, and that seems to be a big thing for this game mode as a whole. Is there's so much you need to be ready for as a team. You need to be able to. There are so many variables. You can't even keep count. How do you play when the soul first appears? You know, do you all in? Do you wait? Do you be patient? Do you sort of be careful around it? When you don't get the obelisk you want, how do you play? When you do get the obelisk you want, how do you play? What champions do you bring to it? What champions have they brought into it? We do see the one play we see in this match, which I believe it's Kaz. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But the one play we've seen consistently on those 2 rounds was, I think it was Kaz's Nyx, where right before the soul spawns, he's got his eyes glued to that clock. And the second he sees, like, basically the 2 seconds before, however long the Ghost Walk is up for, he pops it, goes invisible, runs on the soul, and, like, the very millisecond that the soul appears, he's on it and he's taken it. And if they're standing on it, he'll telefrag them. I think that's a really good decision. It's working out for him a lot, and it's really smart. The problem is, how many times do we see teams just, like, pelt the respawn point with rockets and nail gun shots and everything? There's a Sorlag now, and I have no doubt we will see when the soul spawns, Sorlag will spray that soul location with the acid. So I don't think it's going to work so well. Bear in mind as well, the Ghost Walk would have been used up to take the soul, so if he appears in the acid, he now has nothing to get away from the damage of the acid and the ticking damage that will follow up with that as well. Of course, but we should be getting into this match any second now, guys. We do have a just a quick few issues while we're getting into this next match, but we'll be with you guys as soon as we can. Right, so I believe while we get this resolved, we are going to go for a quick 3-minute break. Huge apologies, guys, but we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Apologies for the delay, but I do believe our next match is basically up and running and good to go. The players, I believe, are in their draft phase and are run back on Lockbox. Sounds like it's going to be good to go.
It does indeed. Sorry for the delays, guys and girls at home. We've just had some issues with the lobby. We've just got it remade now, and the players are doing their draft, picking the same characters again. Obviously, then we have to go through the warm-up phase, and then we'll be good to go. So we should just be a few minutes away from getting underway.
So, Seqta and Alliance. Who do you like most?
It's hard to say, right? Because
in this matchup in this one specific match on Lockbox, who do you think is going to take it?
It's hard to say without seeing them play around. I think it'll be a lot more clear as to how ready they are for this map after that first initial round, because the first map on Burial Chamber, Alliance took 2 straight rounds quite convincingly. But it wasn't like Seqta got hold of the Soul first in the first round, right at the start, and they purposefully took it to Obelisk Point B, I believe it was.
Yes,
sort of, you know, almost like the cave side.
The caverns.
And then Alliance were able to get it back to A, and then the next round, Alliance purposefully took it to A. So it almost seemed like Alliance were able to get their most confident and most comfortable Obelisk right from the start. Question is, are they going to be so confident on either Obelisk on this map particularly?
Well, that's what we saw with Avengers. Avengers seemingly had a preferred side. Again, it kind of looked like, because just generally on Lockbox in particular, Point A is a good side for a lot of teams, but Avengers in particular were fine everywhere on the map, where it was A first for them, and then they lost the next round to A quite solidly. But then on that third round on Obelisk B, where they held it again just as well. So it's definitely not going to be a matter of, you know, teams are just bad on a side. I don't think it's like that black and white. But at the same time, I feel like Alliance played so well on Burial Chamber. I don't know. I think they're going to be riding this next map with a lot of just snowballed momentum, you know, because that was a super convincing map.
Because I mean, even down to the compositions, like we saw a distinct lack of, like, you know, big body healthy characters that we were used to seeing throughout all day. Like, even though just sort of
normally the comps are very much varied, for sure.
Just to sort of reflect on some of the compositions we've already seen, like Scalebearer almost every game, Sorlag a lot of the time. Usually one of the two of them, Scalebearer, very, very popular. But then in this time, you know, we saw on the side of Alliance, it was Nyx, Ranger, Anarchy, and Visor. And then from Seqta, it was Blazkowicz, Nyx, Ranger, and Visor. So a distinct lack of big body, healthy characters on either team. But it definitely didn't seem to be a problem for them, right? Because it's about how you practice as a 4. Dripping my pen. It's about how you practice as the 4 of them. But on this map now, we're going back onto Lockbox. I believe it was Bus Driver who was playing Visor, is now going to Sorlag.
I really feel like on Lockbox, like, beef is needed. I just feel like it's too close quarters, and because it is so. I said this earlier, but it's so fast paced. I think that if you have someone in your team that can soak up damage, especially when those power ups come into play, I think your team has quite a clear advantage there. I mean, like, what you take 4 really sort of relatively squishy champions with a low health pool, and then you take on a Scalebearer who's just picked up protection and he's got a rocket and a rail. It's, you know, if he's got his team behind him, that's going to be so hard to stop. And, you know, there's not much you can do to take him out, especially if he's got other people that will try and focus you as well.
But almost like the unsung hero of the day, you could say, Ranger. Ranger we're seeing picked over and over and over again.
We definitely can't skim over the fact that Ranger has been picked a lot as well.
But it's like just dire orbs used for burst, used for mobility. I mean, you throwing the soul up high, throwing your dire orb behind it. Soul lands where you've thrown it, dire orb, you teleport, and instantly you've basically teleported yourself up top with the soul. And even aside from that, you know, seeing it used for burst, seeing it used for when he's holding the soul, rocket jumping the floor to just cover massive amounts of distance while taking barely any damage because he's Ranger, and that's his whole point.
Well, because
he seems to just be really well fit to this game mode.
Well, a lot of the sacrifice maps are so close quarters. We see a lot of telefrags. We've actually seen quite a lot of telefrags come out of that dire orb today, and it's not even just the damage. Because bear in mind, when you throw the dire orb at an opponent, it does 100 damage regardless.
That's a direct rocket.
That's the damage of a direct rocket. That's the damage of a direct rocket. That's more damage than a rail. So if you've just hit a direct, if you've thrown a dire orb and then hit a direct rocket, that's 200 damage. Very little champions are actually going to survive that,
also,
unless they've got loads of armor. And on sacrifice, armor is a bit more hard to come by because there's more people. There's more pickups around. There's more people having to take health and armor. You're not going to have all of this stuff available on tap. You're not going to be as stacked as you would be in something like Duel.
But also, a really useful thing about Ranger is in those sort of close fights, because he takes reduced damage from his own weaponry. The big one being rockets. You know, he hurts himself way less on rockets. If you're like point blank with someone, or in this case in Sacrifice, multiple people, you are more prone to shooting sort of at the ground in close proximity, because you're always going to do way more damage to them than you are to yourself, especially if you're a ranger and you have that reduced damage. So if you've got like protection, or you've just got a rocket and you're being swarmed, you're trying to, you know, run the soul through, and you've got people just trying to stand in your way to block you off, you're way less afraid of just shooting the ground with rockets just to get them away from you.
How much damage did you do with them? Something like 4 HP or something. It was like 4 HP when he had protection and shot the ground.
I think it was 4 I saw, but regardless, that's...
It was pretty minimal.
That's like a graze.
That's a sneeze.
A graze. He sneezed on himself. It's, oh no, 4 HP.
Either way, once again, guys, we are getting this match up and running. So we have some confirmed round of 8 games. Dreams of Magic versus... All right, so not so fast. Again, I've probably butchered that pronunciation.
But that's why it's called Not So Fast, because Faz, Noctis, Sturmy, and Toxic, and then you put the first letters together.
I've got to say, not surprised we've seen these guys in the round of 8. Like, they have been... They're the European dream team, really. Like, so much talented EU talent is on this team. We saw them play at E3, and they killed it. They played unbelievably well at E3 alone.
Fun fact,
now they've had time to grind.
Fun fact, they were the team we were told to, like, if there's one team you guys need to watch out for and be really, you know, concerned about in terms of just, you know, playing really, really well, it was Not Too Fast. Like,
because it's basically 4 amazing duelers on a team together. They're also talented in team modes, like Noctis as well in particular. He's had some great success in team modes at tournaments as well himself. You know, the rest of the team, these guys all have great accolades. I'll be here forever if I literally list what these guys have achieved.
But up against Dreams and Magic.
Saw them earlier on.
We saw a lot of before.
Yeah, and it was against, I believe it was Sandals, right?
Yeah, Sandals. So there was Dreams Magic is...
Sombra and
yes, Co. Indeed. It was, let's have a look. It was Abso... No, that's how Dreams of Magic here. Slip, Sombra, Biko, and Derizen.
I mean, it was just a great... That was a really great series. Well, it was super close. It was 2-1, right? It was basically... That was the map we saw Lockbox, actually, on the topic of Lockbox. That was the map that Sandals went, right, Lockbox, let's pick that. And it was a really, really good map for them. And then we saw... Dreams Magic switched to Blood Covenant, which was really good as well. So another match we have, the Defendants versus Avengers. That just sounds like a movie, doesn't it? That's a movie title.
Versus Avengers. The Defendants obviously being Avex, Cypher, Too Good, and Creaser versus Avengers. So you've got them down here. Yes, I do. Abso, Kilson, Mastermind, and Phoenix. That's going to be a good one.
So Cypher will be playing twice tomorrow. He's going to be playing a lot of Quake. He's going to be in the top 8. Well, the top 16 essentially for Duel, and obviously we're going to see Cypher again tomorrow in Sacrifice as well. I think that just goes back to what we talked about, where all these players that are really successful in Duel but are playing Sacrifice, obviously because the Quake World Championships $1 million pool is across both game modes. It's not just going to be one. So of course, if you're a serious competitive Quake player, I mean Cypher, right? He's Virtus Pro, recently picked up by Virtus Pro. Him being able to show his new sponsor that he is, or could very much be, the greatest in the 2 game modes, if he can prove that, I mean, what a pickup. I mean, it's a great pickup anyway.
If we see a player, right, at the Quake World Championships later this year, if we see a player win Duel, and then be on the winning team in Sacrifice, if we see one player be on both of those, is there any stronger just message to say, I am the best Quake player in the world right now?
Well, I mean, that's definitely going to be a story to tell. But as we saw actually here, even here we saw, you know, Game versus Defiance. This was our first series of the night, and it was unbelievably close. We saw Evil. We actually saw Evil take part. Now, I wasn't even sure we could see him because, admittedly, I couldn't actually see him on the sign-up list until the very, very last minute. But it was nice to see, you know, his team put it together. This map in particular was a complete, like, roller coaster. It was unbelievably close, but Game were managed. You know, they were able to pull it back, and they kept it together.
I do believe all these replays are going to be in order of the sets they happen. So this is basically just like a very brief reminder on what kind of stuff we've seen today. Obviously being a very hectic game mode, but a lot around to it. And just things like this, right? You know, Blazkowicz putting on a lot of work. Galena was so crucial to this set as a whole, and just so many of these just clutch defenses. And that's what I was hoping to see from this game mode today. Because like I said, this is the first week of Sacrifice qualifiers for the Quake World Championships. And this is largely the first almost like serious competitive footage, at least, you know, through the Quake World Championships of this game mode. So we didn't really know exactly what to expect. Like, we had some assumptions on what champions we might see and certain maps that might get favored stuff. But as a whole, you know, these guys are showing us what they've got for the first time today in Sacrifice.
I'm really glad at the quality of play we've seen so far. Like, at the end of the day, Quake is not a old game. You know, Champions is a new game, and these players haven't had the largest amount of time to prepare and grind for the World Championship, but they have basically risen to the challenge and shown us that they can deliver this world-class, top-notch. I believe that was like a triple kill with the super shotgun. Right at the end, that whiffed rail as well. I mean, if you got it, die hard. Yeah, right, you survived with 1 HP. That was insane. But then when we switched over to Lockbox, we talked about this earlier on, but this was the series that really, I think, set it away for me, because seeing Lockbox get picked, but Sandals really showing signs of life. Like, the rounds they won were incredibly dominant. And right, actually, that looked like a mistake, but I believe he actually died deliberately because he had 1 HP and he wanted to let his teammate take that quad damage instead. A very sort of typical maneuver, and you know, seeing it back, definitely not surprised to see it. But when they changed onto Blood Covenant right here, this was when the matchup changed. They had the chance to pull it back. Sandals did manage to sort of seize the quad damage, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to take the entire series. They got a respectable amount of percentage back, but at the end of the day, Dreams and Magic just took it, and at the very last minute, they had way too much power up to go. He had the protection, he had loads of health, and that was going to basically be all she wrote.
Of course, this would have been the Asterios versus Avengers. Avengers looking really good in this series. I'm actually really excited to see how they play, particularly tomorrow. But, I mean, it really is just Anarchy, right? Anarchy, just look how fast and how much distance he can cover.
But it's Burial Chamber as well. Burial Chamber on the right-hand side near Obelisk A. There is so much space for you to move fast. Like, you have an unbelievable amount of room to just speed up. And if you're going to be Anarchy on this map in particular, I think Anarchy works really well. But, I mean, Kilson, Absol, these guys. Absol, really the unsung hero, landing all of those unbelievably clutch rails at the pivotal moments. And it really allowed Avengers to be as dominant as they were. Now, Lockbox got selected. This didn't actually work out in Asterios' favor. Not kind of like what happened with Sandals.
No, definitely not. Unfortunately, it just didn't come down to their favor, really. Avengers just looking really strong on every obelisk. And I actually think Avengers are one of the first teams we've seen that just seem to be really comfortable no matter what obelisks they got stuck to defend, which I think is a crucial skill in this game mode, it seems, is just being comfortable on either obelisk on any map, you know, because you never know what situation your team's going to have to be stuck in.
That's still my favorite frag of the night. Falling straight into it. But either way, I think that as time moves on, we will see these teams be comfortable everywhere. I don't think it's going to be a matter of, like, you know, one objective and that's it. But I have just been informed that the draft phase of the match is actually complete. And in roughly 60 seconds, we should, everything crossed, have a match ready to go to find out who moves on.
Touch wood. We can hope.
All of it.
We can really hope that it doesn't go wrong. But
so,
I mean, we want to see the what could be the last game in this series.
Yeah, so it's going to be Alliance versus Seqta, and it's going to be another EU team versus another Russian team. We're going to see Cooler once again, but at the same time, Sturmy, Strengths, these guys all looking really strong. But at the end of the day, Alliance in that first map on Burial Chamber looked unbelievably difficult to deal with.
Indeed, and it was a very comfortable, confident 2 rounds, and going into Lockbox for, I believe, the 3rd time today. At least, you know, we've definitely been on Lockbox a bunch already.
Also, correction, Sparty, not Sturmy. Sorry, guys. Either way, the match is almost ready to go.
No worries. Thank the Lord for your notes. But looks like we are good to go in. The warm-up phase is just coming to a finish. And Bus Driver, who we saw on Visor before, now going to Sorlag, which has been very, very effective on this map particularly.
Okay, so we have seen the Lockbox pick sort of be successful and not successful. Really has to depend on the team. But Bus Driver, who has made the change from Visor onto Sorlag, you're going to wonder
Bus Driver
if this
using his Acid Spit before the Soul respawn, so it's going to have it for area denial. And they actually does go down.
Cooler's going in with the dual wield, gets tagged as well. Soul is still in play, still in that sort of middle of the screen. However, Shook manages to take hold of it. Hasn't got a lot of health. Bus Driver again down to frag, but he is outnumbered. And Neutrino now with that in hand, and importantly, has made the switch to Galena.
Indeed, now Galena on this map particularly, I can see it being quite useful. There's that totem on the point just to get that health back for the team. Now, we talked about before of Galena, of her sort of utility kind of changing a bit on these team modes. So, less likely for the area denial totems, but more likely to just heal your teammates and, you know, get that sort of almost like top up. So if your team just quickly captures, you can really top them up with health before they go through. But again, the story of this map has already been set. Obelisk A has gone to Seqta. Now, this historically, throughout this tournament, has been definitely an obelisk that the teams have had an easier time defending. And Seqta going straight for it, I think, has proven that they also do prefer that. But
Syndrome with that clutch rail.
So just trading frags for frags at the moment, not a substantial amount of percentage on either side, but the acid damage over time really ticking through now.
Bear in mind, strengths with that soul in hand. He's going to do everything he can to get it away.
Throws it up to Bus Driver, so Bus Driver now, with all this health and armor, now has access to going through the obelisk, but he actually is being sort of zoned away.
Yeah, he's being sort of really kept at bay right here. Bear in mind, 15 seconds. The power-up's now going to appear within that time, and we've seen what happens already once that power-up spawns. Everyone kind of really sort of drops what they're doing, and they really try and prioritize that because it's such a game changer.
But Syndrome's able to sneak past though, he's going to drop this off. And we go, the percentage is going to start going, but the power-up is up. The protection goes in the way of Cass, so Seqta now control the power-up. He's going straight towards this obelisk to try and get it back.
Yeah, and that 25 health is going to put him up to absolute maximum. Doesn't really matter how much damage he takes. The protection is just going to basically nullify everything. Running in with the rest of his team on deck, it's going to be a very high percentage now that they're going to get away with this one.
And Cass is sort of just trying to run this one back again. Don't think there's anyone on the side of Alliance in the way to stop him from doing this. No, not at all. There we go. It's a free capture.
Here we go once again. They've got point A. But so consistently, the soul is leaving the obelisk the second it lands. There's very little divide between the two scores. 12% versus 16%. Sparty does see the ghost walk. He's got to be super careful.
Cass appeared just in time to steal the soul away. They're together. Oh, outnumbered to Super Shotgun just to finish off that little bit of health he had left.
See, Cooler passing over to Shoot. Now going to try and drop it off once again. But again, it's out of action so often. The percentage is barely different.
We've already gone 3 minutes in and we've seen just about 20% on one of the sides. So definitely a bit of a slower crawl up towards 100%.
Doing a really nice job of sort of keeping it at the moment though. Establishing that high ground. Nice rocket, but Strength's answering straight back with that 1-1 trade. Now, again, Alliance have the soul in hand. Can they drop it off? Or is it going to get traded out again?
Cooler gets that frag, holds on to the soul.
Got the rest of his team to back him up. But Syndrome with a steal. Neutrino, though, waiting for him. Again, they drop off again. Now, this is very important
to be a little bit more stable for Seqta now. Sort of starting to control this obelisk a lot better than we saw before. And now they've got quite a nice lead creeping up right now. Almost 40% captured on the side of their obelisk.
That lead could be easily answered back if the power-up goes into the hand of the Alliance.
Just a few seconds away, so he's looking here for it. It's a quad as well. Strength is gonna... Oh, he actually didn't get damaged at all.
Oh,
and there we go.
He tries to go in with the super shotgun to annihilate his health.
Oh, this could be a bit of a turning point.
Yeah.
3 of the 4 of them on Alliance are here with the quad damage too.
That was going to be a 4-man assault. Sparty trades out with Sugar, but with that quad damage on deck, it's going to be very hard to deal with. And again, takes the soul, but can they get away with it with this quad damage in hand?
It's Rampage with the starting shotgun. Oh, just enough damage. More than enough, but that's just the machine gun by itself.
Well, that starting shotgun did recently get a slight damage increase. It does 4 damage per shot rather than 3 now.
Good though for Alliance. Now Syndrome on this Anarchy. He's got more than enough speed to make it through to this obelisk quite quickly.
The second Anarchy finds that opening to run away with the soul. It is so fast how quickly this champion can turn around.
Well, it's quite intimidating. You can see how well they contain Anarchy, but the second they let him slip through, you can see just how disastrous it can be.
Yeah, you really got to try and keep a lid on this guy.
Yeah, he gets absolutely annihilated. Straight to the rail.
Gonna look at the percentage though, bear in mind, 59 versus 18.
One of the soul stuck on the wall at the moment.
One of them's gonna have to jump into it. I guess you're gonna have to put yourself at risk to try and take it. There we go, Sparty up for the challenge.
The Alliance have control of it, but as soon as they were able to capture it last time, it did already disappear. Not really getting too much of a percentage climbing up, but he does pop the injection, gets himself back, topped up to full health again.
Now, they're doing a good job of holding it off, but 30 seconds until power up. If they can hold off until that point, they can do a really good job of actually building that percentage up to almost even.
Been looking for these rails though. A lot of damage to add up. It's a nice hit on Galena there.
Running into the LG, trying to finish off. 3 members of Seqta on the aggression though. Takes it.
Here we go. I don't know if Syndrome was expecting to see that many there. Cass has taken the soul away again. 33% to 59. Seqta looking to really increase that lead, but Syndrome there right on his tail.
Spy couldn't quite get the soul up there. Does manage to get it this time. There we go. The power up has spawned. Right, the protection is the one that's in play. I feel like in some cases the protection is actually more important for rushing a base because it's so difficult to deal with. Syndrome actually changing his path to cover the Mega Health. He's now going to be able to tank a couple of rails. However, though,
oh wow, he is just being surrounded by Seqta just like that. They didn't give him anywhere to run. Wonderfully positioned.
I believe that's Cooler with the protection as well. Fights that just trade back and forth, and again, that distance of which the Obelisk is not being taken for quite a while. It's sort of trading back and forth again. The percentage is not rising.
Wow, just frags for frags right now. No one's getting a substantial lead. Able to drop back off again, so takes it up to 60%. Alliance doing a really good job of sort of just fighting back, but Seqta really just keeping this lead going.
Seems to be point A. Point A really does seem to be a great point to take in strength, though. Catches the rail, now he's going on the offense a little bit. Got the rest of his team to back him up, with that high ground being commanded by the rest of Seqta. You wonder how useful it's going to be at this stage.
Oh, hits that rail. Nice damage. Oh, he follows him.
You heard that one.
Yeah, he did so much damage. He just followed him up with that super shotgun, more than enough to just take that down. Oh wow, Bus Driver with a rail of his own.
Here we go, they're trying to contest it. We haven't really seen a huge amount of Sorlag Acid actually sort of do a huge job. However, speaking of which, does manage to dissolve Neutrino with it instead. Now they're trying to really take the soul off the point.
Oh, and Cats goes down. Rocket's doing a lot of damage right now. 16 health left from Saniki though. Cooler goes down. And Neutrino there, ready and waiting to take him down. And again, the second kill. Neutrino saving his team.
Really useful double. He's going to get the totem back as well. Puts it down on the stairs. Actually may get a cheeky frag of that.
Oh no, maybe not. Sparty is there, ready and waiting. Gets himself a double, but not a lot of health at all. Trying to top up a little bit, but these are just smaller health packs. All gets a direct.
Yeah, that 100 damage rocket, very important. They've got the soul. They haven't got a huge amount of HP though, but speak in mind, 1 second, power-up spawns.
But Seqta though, able to hold that off until 96%, doing really well for just keeping this lead very strong. Ripping off though, and there's the damage comes through.
He did manage to take it, but either way, Cooler now with the dual wield. It has run out, but Cooler now with that quad damage, he is absolutely going to stop Bus Driver from taking this. If he even gets to him, Cooler cleans it up.
Drops the acid down, but the Venom actually takes
kills
out.
him.
Wow, actually got himself 2 kills. That one acid spray got 2 of them down.
You very rarely see the ticking damage take 2 frags, but I'm sure he's going to be happy with that one. Syndrome now, they have got the soul on deck. They need to bring this back. Look at the fact that it's 96% Obelisk taking on the side of Seqta.
Now, don't say it's impossible. We have seen 100-0 sort of captures overall, and as long as Alliance can stop Seqta from reclaiming this, they can do that. It's going to be difficult for them.
I mean, bear in mind, it's now going to be 75 seconds until the next power-up is up. That is a lot of time to defend if they can prevent it. However, trying to go again. They've managed to throw the soul away. Not going to be picked up, but it's going to do a little bit of stalling to sort of prevent about 2 or 3%. Syndrome going in for his injection. Nice and topped up for the next fight as well.
Well, it's about 2 seconds per percentage, right? So if you do hold it off, just for a few seconds, that can make the difference.
If he can get a good read on where Nick says she is weak, because she took 100 damage before she went into Ghost Walk.
Alliance, though, aren't
so many people
they are here. They're just not coming through the waves we've seen before.
Yeah, that giant assault going straight through. They've got the soul now. They've only got 4% left to take it. So if they can deliver it now, you actually see Alliance. They're all going towards Obelisk A. They're going to try and put up their last stand right here.
Oh, there's the acid coming through. Guaranteed damage every time. Is he going to fall down? Yes.
Visor is absolutely dead right there. Couldn't survive any of that.
However, going in, Syndrome was there, ready and waiting. He's just going to sneak his way through.
Speed
I don't know
boost.
if anyone in the way stopping him.
Nah, speed boost. Welcome back. This is week number 1 of the European qualifier for the Quake World Championship, and we've had a crazy day of sacrifice so far. Now, speaking of crazy clips, before we get our next match underway, we thought we'd put together a little replay of a really crazy moment that happened between Seqta versus Alliance. Now, this was on Lockbox, and it was 99% versus 99%. It really was, I think, the closest match of sacrifice I've ever seen. Wouldn't you agree, Mustard?
I think that's a fair assumption, at the very least, for this evening. Now, this was Alliance were down massively. They brought it all the way back to 99%. Seqta managed to take it away from them, back it back to themselves, take it up to 99, their own selves. And Alliance, obviously, we saw Bus Driver here take it down. He got stopped on the way, most likely, I believe he was killed here. And then he was had to take it from someone else.
What basically happened in this clip was just every time they got so close, they would get fragged, and then the soul would be immediately thrown back into the opposite direction.
It's like, this was like the textbook moment of what just trading kill for kill looks like. But look, like, I mean, they both had 1%. Just 1% is all each team needed to go, and they just wouldn't let each other do it. I mean, just look. They just wouldn't let them do it, no matter what.
It was pretty unbelievable. I mean, this final moment, it was a crazy good moment. It went down to 100% to Alliance versus Seqta's 99, and Alliance obviously did actually take that series as well, which eventually was a 2-0 result. The following round was pretty one-sided. I think they were just riding too much momentum in that set. And I mean, they were looking pretty unstoppable.
So
excited to see
we
it
thought
tomorrow.
we'd play that highlight, considering we heard that the stream unfortunately went down during the later moments of it. But luckily, we were able to record it locally for you. So we thought we'd play it now, so you didn't completely not see what happened there. So obviously, after that ridiculous exchange, they were able to take that final percent and move on. But that was the last set. We'll see, obviously, Alliance again tomorrow during our Sacrifice playoffs. But we have one final series to get through today.